Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of Heat Index 305. I'm Bobby Finstock. That's Alex Atiachiska. Welcome to episode 1, and we've got a major update. Now, just point of order, we're going to let you know now that this is a recording. So we appreciate if you watch live, but if you throw a comment and we're not responding,
We're
don't
not
take
just
it
being
personally.
disrespectful.
You're not being
Buenos
disrespectful.
dias.
Yes, this is a recording. We recorded last night and we are here. So you're the future, we're the past. But anyway,
Yeah, it's
this
like
is pretty
Back
the
to the
news we're going to
Future.
talk about is pretty present. Yes. Before we get into that, Alex, my brother, how are you, my man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Like you said, it's nighttime, but I'm wishing everybody out there that's actually listening to this right now a great morning. It's kind of warm here, kind of musky, but everybody have a great day. Appreciate it.
That's right. And I want to say too, because even though it's the morning, let's say shout out. We just surpassed 4,000 subscribers here on FTSN. So thank you to the new subscribers. We appreciate you. If you're watching this episode 1 of Heat Index 305, do me a favor, throw in the comments and in the chat where you're watching from, what you think of the Miami Heat currently, what you want them to do. Do they stick to the pick at pick 13, or should they trade out possibly for Giannis Antetokounmpo? And that is why we are here today to talk about this major update for the Miami Heat. You know, Alex, year in, year out, the past few seasons, even when we had Jimmy Butler, will they, won't they? Are they going to get this superstar, that superstar? Dame Lillard, KD, Giannis was always kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, this season, it seemed like in the mid part of the season, this could possibly happen. It doesn't. Now, and the Bucks were saying we're not really interested, but now today, Shams of ESPN reports that the Milwaukee Bucks are fully open for business on trade calls for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Alex, major news, major implications. The Heat were hoping, it was the Heat, I believe, and the Thunder. Was it the Thunder? Golden State,
Golden
who
State
were
Warriors.
hoping
Yeah.
that they were going to jump into that top 4 to possibly
Mm-hmm.
use that as trade bait to maybe getting to this discussion. But now they're 13, I think 12, 13, 14, whatever. Heat at 13.
They're 11. They're 11.
11, thank you.
Yeah. And we're 13.
But the Heat are expected to be into this chase. The Lakers, the Golden State Warriors. But this is major for the Miami Heat and for those teams for Giannis Antetokounmpo. What's your reaction now that the Bucks are finally open for business?
Well, it's like the worst kept secret in the whole NBA at this point. And obviously, Giannis had a huge part in this because he wasn't clear. He didn't make it. He didn't want to make it as nasty. Obviously, we went through it with Jimmy, so we kind of understand the situation. But the whole thing is with now finally coming out and the Bucks. Honestly, what kind of pushed it over the top was the Bucks owner to me saying that they were going to have a resolution. So he kind of got ahead of this curve even before the draft because he said that they expect a resolution by the draft. So it's either he's going to sign, well, he can sign the extension until October, but he can obviously tell them, I will sign the extension. If at that point he cannot commit long term, then he's going to be moved. But this here, what people keep forgetting is that Giannis genuinely has the upper hand. He has the leverage because all he has to state is one thing: where he wants to go and where he's willing to extend. That does not mean that Milwaukee will ship him there, but no other team that has no guarantee of an extension is going to give up prime assets or blue chip prospects and a boatload of draft picks for Giannis. So the market can realistically go from very wide range of teams to, if Giannis makes a statement, that market shrinks, and then you just got maybe 2 or 3 teams competing. So we'll see how it plays out in the next couple of days and weeks.
Now, why does he have more leverage than, let's say, Dame Lillard a couple years back? Was it Dame Lillard or KD recently? But
Dame
either
Lillard.
way,
Yeah, Dame Lillard. Yeah.
Dame Lillard had a new deal, right? He had
Correct.
a big contract, so he
Correct.
didn't really have the leverage that you would want him to have.
Mm-hmm.
Giannis does, because Giannis only has 1 guaranteed year left on his deal.
Yeah.
So if he says, hey, look, I'm not going to extend anywhere but, let's say, Miami, then other teams are going to say, okay, we're not going to trade for this guy if he's not going to stay on with us. We're not going to give up a bunch of assets for a guy who doesn't want to be here. So to Alex's point, if Giannis makes it known that, hey, no, I want to go play with Bam Adebayo in Miami, and that's the only team I'm willing to extend with, then that will give all the leverage to Miami. And then it helps also with asset management, because then Miami says, we don't have to give you everything. We know he wants to come to us,
Correct.
So, because other teams are not going to want to give up the farm unless they're like a team like Toronto did with Kawhi Leonard some odd years back, when they just bet on themselves, say, hey, we're going to just get him for as long as we could keep him. And they won a championship. And then he ended up going, of course, to the Clippers. That rarely ever happens. So that's the leverage that comes into play here. And then you start to think about what it will cost. Now, of course, I'll just say full disclosure here. If Miami were to get that top, if they were to have gotten that top 4 pick, I was not interested in trading it whatsoever, because I believe one of those top 4 guys could be the superstar you need, compared to what Giannis is. Giannis is unbelievable, 2-time league MVP, a champion, still in the prime of his career. I get it. 13, still, I'm still very quick, because there's so much talent. We're going to talk about that tomorrow on East Century Boys, because this is airing on Tuesday. So Alex yelled at me before the show. Tomorrow.
For the context of the show, you were on point, so I get it now. I was the one that was thinking.
Now I figured it out as we got started the show. I wasn't wrong. Now I know. I'm never wrong. I never make mistakes. I'm so perfect. No, but on Wednesday's show, we're going to talk about what Miami could do if they stick to the pick at 13, because there's so many good options there at 13 that if the Heat were not to get a deal done, because more than likely, if Giannis says, I want to go to Miami, more than likely, Alex, this pick is leaving, which,
for sure.
Again, I'm like, okay, now what makes it better is that it might not cost the farm if he does say, I want to go to Miami. One of these offers that got thrown out there that I saw, obviously you think of, and these names are a little hard to digest. I don't want to say a little hard to swallow, because that could come out the wrong way. So I'm going to say digest. That's better. I'm trying to do better.
For these, let's improve ourselves.
On Heat Index, we're going to be a lot more clean than East 10th Street Boys. But
we'll keep it PG.
PG 13, probably. 13. But one of the, obviously, Tyler Hero, right?
Yes.
Hero seems to be on his last legs. Even if they don't get Giannis Antetokounmpo, Hero more than likely could be included in the deal, could be out the door.
Correct.
But Tyler Hero. Khalil Ware, right? That one stings a little bit. I would not want to move him, but it makes sense to move him because, again, he's probably your most premium asset on the team. And for whatever reason, Coach Spo is stubborn when it comes to Khalil Ware about putting him on the floor, getting most out of him. Now, if I can figure out a way to keep him and bring in Giannis, signed, sealed, and delivered, it's the best possible scenario. This is where, again, this gets tough because now you're like, okay, what young assets are you willing to give up? Like, again, Khalil Ware is already tough enough for me. That is like a knot in the chest, in the throat, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? A lump. The next one is Caspers. Caspers is another guy that could be a young asset that probably, they may want to go, hey, we want that guy to get moved, or we want that player back. Jovic is another name that was brought up. Jovic. Now, Jovic might be a little tough sell because he got that new deal and
goes into effect.
And he didn't live up to that deal last season. He had a tough year, kind of like Hawkins had the year before. Now, Alex could speak on trying to sell the trade to Milwaukee or even sell the trade of not including him in a deal. The thing about Jovic is he's still young. You've seen flashes. There's still potential for upside. He fits the common era, the current era of the NBA of what you're looking for a player. I mean, he's the size, the length, the everything, and what he could offer you. Pick 13, which is obvious, right? You include that. They have here, Alex, 2 unprotected firsts in 2030, 2032, and then 3 swaps, 29, 31, 33. So Tyler Hero, Ware, Caspers, Jovic, pick 13, 2 unprotected, 3 swaps. You hear that? Is that too much?
Me personally, current state, that's too much. If Giannis states that he's willing to sign in 4 scenarios, 4 teams that he's willing to extend in those organizations, then that's where it comes into play. Where Miami, the way they're operating right now is Giannis is priority one, priority two, priority three. They have backup plans. There's other players that will be available via trade, even a Kawhi, a John Morant. John Morant is going to be very cheap on this market because Memphis wants to move him. So there's fallback options in regards to trading and improving by trades. And what you mentioned to me, Hero is a foregone conclusion. Hero's going to be shipped. He's going to be moved somewhere. Powell's on the back burner. If you acquire Giannis, you might re-sign him, a cheaper deal, a 2-year deal, maybe higher annual average. But that package that you gave me, Bobby, to me right now, it's a little too much in regards to the assets, because then I would try to keep, if you have to move where, I would try to keep Jovic. Obviously, his contract, they're not probably going to want to take it, but I would try to keep Jovic because you need positional size also in the front court. You want some size there. You want some versatility there. You try to keep Caspers. I try to keep Pele. Hakis is going to be a tough in regards. Hakis might be our best asset, but he's almost eligible for a contract extension. So that is right there where Milwaukee has to make a decision, because if they ask for Hakis, Miami will give them Hakis. But do they want to extend Hakis? Are they willing to extend Hero? So these are situations where Milwaukee might see it also. They're acquiring young talent. They might not necessarily want to extend them. They can flip them, but they can restart their build. But based on what Milwaukee wants, it seems that they don't want like just young players. They want like middle of the pack players, like 25, 26. And we kind of fit that mold. I mean, Golden State doesn't. There's other teams that could come into play that scare me a little bit. Boston's in the mix. If San Antonio decides to be in the mix, which I doubt, it doesn't seem, Giannis has said that he doesn't want to go west. The other option in the East that is enticing to Giannis, which is arguably his number one destination, is New York, but they don't really have the assets in draft capital. They would have to move some players to get more draft capital or trade the players if Milwaukee wants them. But I don't see that happening realistically. So we might be betting against, and I know they talked today about the Clippers usually dangling the number 5 pick to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's in a position that if they acquire our pick, they can package 10 and 13 and move up to 7 or 8 or 5. So there's a lot of possibilities for Milwaukee, and it's perfect. We're going to know for sure in a matter of 4 or 5 weeks. We're going to know for sure where this is headed. So I don't expect this to drag past draft day.
No, I don't. So I will agree. Right now, and again, we know what Giannis is, right? But Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, Caspers, Nikolai Jovic, pick 13, 2 unprotected first, 3 swaps. You do get Bam. In this scenario, you keep Pele Larson, you keep Jaquez, you keep Wiggins and Powell, right?
And Mitchell. So you got Davion Mitchell.
So you think of that roster, that's not a bad roster right there. That's
a
pretty damn good lineup at that point in time.
Yeah.
But I would agree that seems a little rich,
Right now,
for me, if you're giving up Khalil Ware, I don't know how I feel about trading Caspers at that point. Like, that's where I'm kind of like, I don't know.
And remember, we don't have to match dollar for dollar because we're under our tax.
Yes.
So we can take back more salary than what we're sending. So a trade can get done with Hero as the main piece and some side pieces as well, if you want to do that. So, or just a Davion Mitchell if you want to move him. Those are things that you could do.
I don't know. Did it ever get reported what the original offer was for Giannis? Do we remember
our final offer?
What it was.
Our
originally?
final offer was Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, Hakis, and I don't know if they were doing at that time that they had offered the contract of Rozier to just I don't know if it had the Rozier.
I think the Rozier
contract
deal was in there. Yeah, his contract was there
because we would have taken back. Was one thing that a topic that I was wondering if we would have done it, if we would have taken back Miles Turner's contract. That's one option. Like if you want to acquire Giannis and maybe not give up every other asset, that you would take back Miles Turner's contract. If not, they will package either Kyle Kuzma or Bobby Portis, so that way the numbers will match up. Right now what they stated was it definitely was Khalil, Tyler Hero, maybe Rozier, maybe not, or maybe Wiggins, maybe not, but one of the young pieces as well in Larson, Hakis, or Jovic. And obviously our draft capital that we had at the time, 2 first-round picks and the swaps.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say too, you gotta try, right? You have to, you at least take the phone call, you make the phone call. Hey, what are you willing what are we, or is the original offer still there? Like, can we start off with the original offer minus Rozier? And again, do the Heat feel differently now? I think they value Jaquez,
Yes,
and I think they value him a little more after that trade because of what
absolutely,
he did. Right? I mean, I think
absolutely.
everybody does. So if they value him a little differently, they say, hey, if we take Jaquez off, if we put so and so on. Now again, guys that I wouldn't want to include in that deal. Now again, I could understand Casper's a Kluwer. Putting Kluwer, I would not want to include Casper's. I would be like, let's see if we could keep him off the deal. But if you got to have him, like, you brought up Pele Larson. I wouldn't touch Pele Larson. I would want to try to keep him on the roster. And he's a reason why tomorrow, Wednesday, we're filming this Monday night, but this is live tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning. But Wednesday night, we're going to be doing Miami's pick at 13, who they could be picking, guys that we like. And, the more and more I think about it, there's a lot of good guards in this draft, but the more I think about Pele Larson and Davion Mitchell, or if Norman Powell stays, I start thinking, hey, is it a forward? Would they be targeting possibly a forward at, a 3 or a 4 comes into play, especially if you think about trading Khalil Ware, if that does happen. So my hope would be keeping Pele Larson, either making him come off the bench, or possibly, if you made this trade, a starting guard. If you move on from Norman Powell, maybe you don't extend Powell, you move him, you try to get extra pieces. I love the idea of if the Heat were to get in a trade, if they made this offer, they were to get Bobby Portis in return with Giannis. I would love that. I think that Bobby Portis has always been a Miami Heat type of guy for me. I always thought Bobby Portis,
and he's always killed us. Every time we play him, he kills us. Always.
And he's a guy you want in a playoff run, a playoff stretch.
Yeah. The
Miles
experience,
Turner, Miles Turner. I wouldn't hate that at all either.
No.
Stretch the floor, 3-pointer, all that, whatnot. I mean, got to stick it to the Pacers after making that terrible trade. It came back and bit him in the ass,
and we'll talk about that on Wednesday. But that was a major. Oh man,
we'll talk about that more on East Tenth Street Boys with a glass of leche. But
now, before I forget, Bobby, there's a point here that if Milwaukee is, because it all comes down to what Milwaukee wants, no matter what. Even if Giannis has the leverage and we have the leverage, Milwaukee still owns his rights. Owns his contract. So if Milwaukee wants the younger pieces that we have, which I doubt in comparison to the 13 overall pick, I, as a GM, would love to have the 13 overall pick. But if they ask for Ware and they ask for Caspers and they ask for Jaquez, then that's the point where I'm negotiating. I'm like, all right, I'll give you my young pieces, but I'm keeping my pick this year. And I'll give you my future picks. I'll give you my future pick swaps. I really don't care about trading our picks in 29, 30, or I believe it was 32, because we can't trade first round picks on back-to-back years. So because Giannis should be here. So those picks out of the way with the pick swaps, you're talking about late 20s, maybe even a 30, depending on where you're there. So it's definitely above 30. So I don't mind those picks.
So
but
if
you ask for too many pieces, I'm keeping my pick this year. If you're asking for too many pieces, I'll give it to you. But I'm gonna keep my piece.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to touch. But I want to bring this up too.
Go ahead.
February 2nd, I was talking about what possible move what was the original trade offer. And I went back and I actually had posted about their offer for Barry Jackson, Florida Sports Buzz.
Oh, the final one? Okay.
The original, the final offer was Khalil Ware, Tyler Hero, Terry Rozier's contract, another young player, Jovic or Jaquez, or more.
Oh, I got you.
So either one of those two or more. And then it was a 2030 first round pick, 32 first round pick, and then possibly first round pick for either a swap of 26, 29, and 31.
Yeah, because we could only trade two first round picks at that time.
So that was the original final offer for Miami. Again, Alex brings up Boston, another team that reportedly is hyperventilating, quote unquote, for a chance at Giannis Antetokounmpo. That was the wording. Hyperventilating.
Yeah, when I saw them with the Warriors, it's like, but they don't have the assets to pull it off.
Golden State. But like, what could they offer? I mean, I don't really know.
They have first round picks, but they don't have, when it comes to play, they don't have blue chip. If they offer pods, but they got Jimmy's contract, they can move. They can move Jimmy for picks and all that to another team. Like, because remember, another name that's going to come into play is Durant here. Like, there's so many. This is insane that this year, remember we were talking earlier off the show, obviously. I was telling you that this year there's a lot of movement in the NBA. I mean, there's always movement, but this year there's possible seismic moves in trade wise and free agency. But you're talking about Kawhi could be traded, Durant could be traded again. You're
Again.
talking about Jimmy could be traded. What is Curry going to do? Curry already signed the 2-year extension, so that gives you an idea. This is a 2-year window for Golden State, so they're going for it. They're going to push all their chips in for 2 years, and the West is only going to get better, man. So Golden State has a tough climb. So obviously, the first domino is Giannis. Then you have Kawhi, the Jaws, the Durant. Jaylen Brown's name now comes up. Does Milwaukee want Jaylen Brown? Do they want to build around Jaylen Brown, or does Jaylen Brown get rerouted as a 3-team trade? Can Houston get into that with Durant? Can Miami get into it with Hero? So there's a lot of moving parts here where obviously it's just all we have to hear is Giannis stating where he would like to go. And that could be happening in the next week or so, depending.
Yeah, the owner of Milwaukee said he wants this done before the draft. Draft is in 6 weeks, so that is the timeline that we're expecting something to get done. Another team is the LA Clippers, which supposedly Milwaukee is eyeing their 5th overall pick to kind of restart their rebuild, which again makes a lot of sense.
Of course.
Again, you think it for me, if I'm Milwaukee, yeah, I like assets, mean young pieces. I mean, and you think about the guy Kawhi is a good piece and all that. Pick 13, if that's the move, pick you're moving. This draft is so good that even at pick 13, even though I would have loved that top 4 pick 13, I still think you could get a starting quality player, possibly a franchise guy at 13 if the right guy falls at the right moment. But the 5th overall pick, you're kind of guaranteed a possible franchise changing guy. Like, okay, we're trading Giannis, that's huge, right? You're getting rid of your cornerstone for your organization. Okay, we just replaced them with this possible guy, and hopefully you get that guy at that pick, Caleb Wilson, possibly, or maybe
that Caleb. I know we'll talk about it Wednesday, but Caleb Wilson, man, like I love AJ. I love Peterson.
The Boysta.
The Beinsta. I don't even know how to say it. But Caleb Wilson has the possibility of being the best player in this draft. Long term.
Oh, dude. I mean, and again, we'll talk about this Wednesday night, but Cameron Boozer and there's so much those top 4 guys, right? And you're hoping like, hey, maybe they get a bong video out and they drop, oh my gosh, but more likely not. Caleb Wilson was funny. I was kind of looking. He's the guy, and he could go 1, he could go 5, he could go, it just depends on how this draft looks. But there's so many options there, and that's why I'm saying, like, again, I would understand Milwaukee going after the Clippers and Clippers making that move, because you bring up Kawhi Leonard. Does he get moved or does he stay? And do they say, hey, let's make another run at a superstar. Let's pair these 2 guys together and let's see if we get something. The Clippers obviously haven't learned their lesson. Again, I would go young. I would say, let's trade Kawhi. Let's get another pick. Let's restart this and build up. But they're a team that I don't think is ready to make a run. They have pieces,
they don't have the pick.
I don't feel
they don't have the core. They had the core 2 or 3 years ago, but the way the West has developed, and now Utah, that I'm telling you, the West Bob is going to be out of control.
Now I will bring up, and again, we'll talk about this Wednesday, because I think there's some intrigue with the Heat. I mean, at least for me, I would say, man, they should really explore that. The Wizards, who own the number 1 overall pick, not for Giannis. I don't mean this in Giannis' situation. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe, right? But they own the number 1 pick. Supposedly, they would strongly consider moving out of that pick. They would consider trading down from that pick, because they got Anthony Davis, they got Trae Young. They feel like they're ready to make a run. I mean, again, to me, with the talent that's there, they'd stick to the pick, grab a guy, add to that movement. But again, if I'm Miami, I would call just to explore that scenario.
Like I would explore, but I think it's highly unlikely anything gets done. The teams I'm looking at, like a Chicago. Chicago has a 4th pick and the 10th pick. That is something that might entice Washington, because now if they got this draft maybe has 4 or 5 players that are franchise altering players. So if Washington really likes either of those 4, they can negotiate with Chicago and move back to 4, acquire the 10th, and Chicago's all of a sudden in number 1, and they have their franchise player. But it's such a leverage play that it's insane that I'm going to say this, but sometimes you wish not to be that first overall pick, because whenever you have such a talented top 3 or 4, you kind of
Yeah.
want a player to follow you, and you just had to pick him.
Well, one
So,
or two. I mean, you think about
oh
the Heat
yeah,
when Derrick Rose and
oh man,
Michael
yeah,
Beasley.
yeah,
It's like that was But
yeah.
Jim our Zarsky of the
Uh-huh.
Milwaukee Journal
Yeah.
Sentinel places the Miami Heat in their young players and draft picks in the young players and draft picks tier of teams that could pursue Giannis Antetokounmpo. He said the Heat would likely dangle White Null High School alumni and All-Star Tyler Hero with his $33 million expiring contract. And the Bucks would probably require at least center Khalil Ware and point guard Caspers
Yeah.
with the combination of the Heat first round pick 26 and 29 and 33. So if you think about that, right, if it's Tyler, Khalil Ware, Caspers, and then the first round pick and another first round, whatever,
I
that
think
doesn't
they'll do that.
as bad. That
Yeah,
doesn't seem
they'll
at least
do
on
it.
Miami side, because you're keeping Jovic, you're keeping Pele Larson, you're keeping Jaquez.
Yeah, you have a squad.
And then, like you said, the swaps at that point is pick 30. And you know what I mean? It's like, to me, I think that would be a better deal in that run. Because if you're not trading Jaquez or Jovic plus Caspers plus Khalil Ware,
yeah,
I feel a lot better about
and
that.
at that point, you probably re-sign Powell. You have Wiggins, so you have a team, you have a squad, and you have your biennial exception, you have your mid-level exception, so you're gonna build out a roster. So that right there sounds like a fair deal where it's still market value. You're not fleecing Milwaukee, and people have to understand this. When you're acquiring Giannis, it's gonna cost you, even if you're the only team. Like it's gonna cost you. This is a generational talent that still has 4 to 5 good prime years, and we've seen how the only concern with Giannis, lower leg injuries. Whenever you have a player of that caliber and he has lower leg injuries, calves usually lead to the Achilles. So that is one thing to monitor. That's my only risk factor with Giannis is health-wise. He didn't play that much this year, but he had a lot of minuscule, like minor injuries here and there. So it's a proper rehab, a proper strengthening. And also here, he doesn't have to be the full load of the offense. Like they're going to monitor. Miami Heat are an organization that help aging players age well, and their game improves and their efficiency improves. So with that aspect, I'm not really that scared with Miami.
So let's just wrap this one up.
Yeah.
Just what team are you most concerned with as a legit rival to acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo, not named Miami Heat?
Right now, this moment, the Boston Celtics.
Yes, I agree.
Because the Boston Celtics can make not only moves straight up with Jaylen Brown, but they can trade core pieces and younger pieces to acquire assets in order to acquire Giannis. So it's going to come down to if Giannis is willing to sign an extension there. But Brad Stevens is aggressive, and Giannis has said he wants to go to a place that has culture. Boston and Miami have that.
Yes.
He wants to compete for championships. That's the aspiration for both organizations, and they have stability in the front office. So to me, I know people talk about New York, but my biggest fear is Boston. And what an apeshit moment it will be if Boston pulls out this right under us and just gets Giannis from us. That's going to be another.
Yeah, that would be a bitter pill. And in the same breath, I'll say I agree with you. I think it's Boston, but
yeah,
any team can happen. And I know a lot of Heat fans will lose their whatever.
Now, if the Spurs come into it and they're willing to offer a bunch of things, then the Spurs are top notch there.
Yeah.
But for now, Boston.
And I'll say this to Heat fans. At least this is my opinion, and I know it don't matter for some Heat fans, but if they were not to get this deal done, I know everybody's Pat Riley, Nick Harrison, or whatever. Again, keeping the 13th pick is not in this draft is not a bad deal. You're going to get a very good player in this draft. Unless the Heat make a bad decision, but they haven't the last few years. I know the jury's still out on Jovic. Again, I think he still has upside. I still think he has potential. Hopefully, he lives up to that. We'll see. Sometimes some guys don't do that, but Jaquez looks really good. He's fit into his role. He actually got better last year, which something me and Alex talked about that may have not been a possibility with him. We knew he was already good. We knew he was a ready to go player. There's some very few guys in the league in the draft that you get is ready to play right now, that plays like a veteran. That was Jaquez. And Alex, you talked about, like, that was the one thing about Jaquez. You're like, how much can he grow from this? I think he has. I think he's gotten better with his game. I mean, he's all over the floor. Khalil Ware, another solid pick. So Again, I think, but with this draft, there are guys with legit potential
Yes.
to be here. So, would you agree with that point?
Oh, 100% unequivocally. If we miss on Giannis, I know they're gonna go. They're gonna do due diligence with Kawhi. They're gonna pursue Kawhi. They're gonna pursue. They would. I believe that you should look at John Morant as a distressed asset because it's gonna cost you minimal, in comparison to in the open market for a John Morant, a player of his caliber, his age, and all that, and it won't cost you as much assets. Now, the one thing that I do believe, no matter what you do, there is a decision made this year that you're either gonna obviously go for Giannis and then you possibly extend Powell. But I believe that the decision will be made to move Hero. You're not going to extend Hero. So either way, there's going to be a move made to make this team more athletic, more positional size. You got to get taller. You got to get stronger. You need length here in this league. The way I'm not saying everybody has to be 6'10" and above, but a point guard really can no longer be just. You can't have a backcourt that is 6'2" and 6'5". That's impossible anymore.
100% agree with
so
that.
you need to have positional size, functional positional size in two-dimensional players where it's defensive and offensive players. So that's where the league is going. You need athleticism, you need quickness. So you need positional ferocity, and that's why you need to be able to free Bam. Bam doesn't have to be playing your center position. Bam could be in the perimeter. You can free him defensively. So there's a lot of things that will be done, but for sure, the direction will be picked this year. I know we've talked about it for the past couple of years, and we kind of been, what is our direction? We're here with Jimmy, and then we're with Tyler still here. I believe this is the year that we're going all in for Giannis. We don't get him. Tyler will be moved. We're gonna make at times even parallel moves that the Heat don't make because you need to shake it up and you need to improve. But the Heat are not just going to trade anybody just to trade them. There has to be a point here. There's going to be a direction here.
100%. 100%. Guys, I appreciate everybody who's tuned in and commenting and chatting with us. Let us know what you think on this possible Giannis deal. Again, the Milwaukee Bucks open for business. So now it's going to get real here in a few days. Here we got 6 weeks until the NBA draft. I'm excited for it. Alex is excited for it. Alex already sent me a lot of names. I'm watching, guys. I'm already into 27 NFL draft, but I am watching NBA draft because Alex knows how much I just love drafts. I love watching young guys play and, trying to figure out, starting putting any little dominoes. So make sure
unless it's a war draft, and then you're just
no, we don't want that. We don't want that. No. Okay.
Let's watch film. Let's see this guy.
He's limping. Let's leave him off. Okay. This Wednesday night, we'll be talking more about the draft, but let us know what you think. Should the Heat make this deal or should they pursue this deal? What are you willing to give up? Are the deals that we talked about that we'd be comfortable with, is that a little too much, or do you think we need to add to those? Those are possible options that we need to discuss, that you need to discuss. So put in the comments what you think. Again, we're excited. We're up over 4,000 subscribers right now.
Amazing,
at FTSN.
Man. Amazing.
I'm so excited. I'm so grateful to everyone who's just recently subscribed. Welcome to the channel. Again, as you see, we talk Miami Heat, we talk NBA, we talk NFL, Dolphins, draft, we talk professional wrestling, we talk everything, college football, fantasy sports, we talk everything here on the channel, Alex. And it's just been exciting. 4 years, 4,000 subscribers. So,
not bad.
It's just been amazing. So thank you all for tuning in. Alex, any final thoughts for wrap this one up?
Man, it's the beginning. It's episode uno. Obviously, like you mentioned, we're going to focus on certain topics of the Heat, which is something that, it's my passion, and being able to talk to you. I know I miss the audience, but any follow-up questions that they have, we'll tackle the next show always, which is possibly obviously every Wednesday when we do our East 10th Street Boys. So feel free, at us, at me, at Bobby, whatever questions you have, any follow-up, and just have a great day, Miami. Enjoy the rest of your day, because right now it should be like 9:30, 9:40 something. Right?
Maybe
not. Okay, cool.
I haven't decided what time. Maybe 10 in the morning. Maybe we'll see. We'll 6, 7 in the morning. But no, absolutely. Again, this is episode 1 of Heat Index 305. This mainly feature me and Alex. This will be in addition to East 10th Street Boys, separate. So this will be talking about Miami Heat subjects, right? Maybe like today, just talking 30 minutes of one particular subject. So, and let us know in the comments, is there something you want us to discuss? Is there something that we didn't discuss that you'd like us to talk about? And maybe one of these days we'll go live for an episode. Today we recorded, but maybe we'll go live one episode so we get everybody else's opinion. Maybe we'll be live for the draft for Heat Index 305.
Oh, that's
so,
not bad.
Anyway, have a great morning. Thank you all for tuning in. Like and subscribe. And, make sure you tune in tomorrow night, Wednesday, for East Century Boys. Have a good day, Miami.
See you then.
As Ron Burgundy would say, good morning, San Diego or Miami. Right? Anyway, we're out.
We don't know.